What's up, race fans? Welcome to episode 7 of GridRival's Fantasy F1 Preview Show. The end of the season is here. Once again, the calendar finishes at the world's most expensive track, the Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi, built at a cost of nearly $2 billion in today's money. With driver and constructor champions crowned many races ago, one would assume that the excitement for the season is over. But you'd be wrong. There is a significant constructor battle yet to be decided. Two of them, actually. The battle is for which team gets to stand behind Red Bull as this season's second-place finisher, and it is a close one. Ferrari and Mercedes are within 4 points of each other, a small enough gap that the slightest mistake by either team will most certainly lock them into a third-place finish for the season. A fourth-place battle is also brewing, with Aston Martin now only 11 points behind McLaren. And coming off of two very strong performances at both Brazil and Las Vegas, the fight for fourth place is certainly still up for grabs. For those of you with affinity towards any of these teams, this will undoubtedly be an entertaining last race of the season to watch. Hello, everyone. My name is Ross. I'm the co-founder and CEO of GridRival. With me today is Ryan Booth, our business operations director. William Laddie, who we do not have the pleasure of seeing, but we will hear his voice today, and is our principal software engineer. And returning this week is Michael Ursinoli, our CTO. We are here today to talk about fantasy lineup strategy for the last race of the season. And if you are not leading at this point, or you have the chance to make an overtake in your league, with one race left, you will need a Hail Mary, which we're going to talk about today. We're going to switch up our format a little bit. Instead of talking about over-unders, talk about some things you should consider with only one race left to go. Our opening question is about the two positions I mentioned previously. Is who are you going to be putting your money on for second place and fourth place as a constructor? Ferrari, Mercedes, or McLaren, or Aston Martin? I'll start with you, Ryan.
I guess I'll take the boring answers. I'll say Ferrari and McLaren. So Ferrari second, McLaren fourth. I think it's just hard to go against the pace of Ferrari showing. They're in great form right now. And then when you go to the other battle, one team has Lance Stroll and the other one doesn't. So I will go with the team that does not have Lance Stroll. I think McLaren looks a little better after Lando's little wipeout. I think Lando's going to come back and look really strong here in Abu Dhabi.
What about you, Mike? I think you might be muted. I can't hear. Can you guys hear him?
No.
You broke the internet.
Mike just said that Lance Stroll is going to win the Grand Prix, and he's staking his entire reputation on it. So, all right, moving on.
I have take there.
We'll go to William. Maybe in troubleshoot.
Yeah, I'm going to say Ferrari and McLaren as well, unless Ferrari does something silly with the strategy. Like you looked at Vegas last week. I think you get the vibe from Leclerc. It's like, wait, you guys stopped twice? Like Ferrari didn't even realize that was an option. So unless Ferrari does something goofy like that, I think they get second. And McLaren's just faster than Aston. And also, Lance Stroll is Lance Stroll. So what Ryan said, basically.
I'm going to be the contrarian. I'm going to go Mercedes on this one. I think we've all seen that Ferrari has incredible gifting in the area of strategic mistakes. And so I'm going to count that the pressure will get to him in this last event and will open the door for Mercedes for fourth place. I'm going to be the same as y'all and stick with McLaren as a team I've wanted to see win this championship for a very, very long time. I think they still have quite a large gap to close to make that happen. But we will see. Mike's writing us a message. He's got Ferrari and Aston Martin. All right. Technical difficulties from the CTO. It's how ironic can you get? All All right. Well, if you figure it out, we're here for you. Moving on to our fantasy preview. We're here today to talk about Ryan Booth. Started only 3 races ago, was in 7th place in our league. Overtook Mike GP in Brazil, and most recently overtook yours truly last weekend in Las Vegas with a deficit of, you have 1,060 points or something, and I had 800. I think you might have a tough time getting into 4th. You're 262 points behind 3rd place. Getting into 3rd, you're 262 points behind. But also worth mentioning is William, who is now only 86 points behind our league's leader, and actually have a chance. William, do you want to say anything? What's your level of confidence coming into the last race of the season that you can?
It really depends on whether my lineup and my opponent's lineup are sufficiently different, which is not a given. Like, I'm really hoping that some of his better drivers are going to be on cooldown this week. I won't know until we hit qualifying, though. It's like last week we differed by 2 drivers, and otherwise we were the same. Like, we've had similar lineups for a while, and I've got a shot if things break the right way. You only need 1 driver difference if someone has a good day, someone has a bad day.
Yeah, 86 points is a very closable gap for sure. Mike, do you have any notes that you'd like to write us? Are you still working on your audio? Oh, good. Okay, we're going to move on. We'll wait for you. If you have something to say, we'll go back. We're going to move on to fantasy strategy. So typically in this section, we talk about drivers that are potentially underpriced or overpriced. And given it is the last race of the season, there's not a lot of strategic choices to make around contracts, right? You only have 1 race to go. There's certainly probably some drivers that are underpriced or overpriced if you have positions to fill. But I thought we'd spend the time for those of you who are really trying to think about how do I separate myself, and hear from some of the folks on the team what they're doing. And so the question we want to go over is really what should you be paying attention to coming into the final race of the season. I'll start. I'm only going to mention one thing. I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder, but I think the thing one statistic that we track on GridRival that you can see in your driver selection screen if you do an expanded view is called league adoption, and that shows the percentage of everybody else in your league who also has that driver. In this game, and with most fantasy motorsports games, we are all selecting from the same team of drivers. And so if you want a chance, if you're in 2nd place, or if you want to overtake whoever is in front of you, like William was just alluding to, you have to create some sort of differentiation. And so the 2 things I'd be looking at is all the league adoption statistics. If there's a driver that has adoption over 50%, the next thing I would do is go to my league's leaderboard and tap on the name of the person who's above me. I don't know if not all users realize that you can do that, and that'll open up a breakdown of that user's actual team for the last race. Now, we'll not tell you if they have that same team signed for the current race, but my suspicion would be that going into the last race of the season, there's a lot of people that probably aren't going to be signing new drivers for this race. There's probably a lot of people who have their lineups completed through the rest of the season. So those are some of the things that I'd be thinking about, is just creating differentiation. Ryan, do you have anything that you want to add?
Well, I will be playing it safe. I'm playing defense this week. Thanks to my incredible strategy over the past few weeks, I've already passed you, Ross, and Mike, sitting comfortably ahead of you guys. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make up to the gap to the person in front of me. So I will just be playing best available drivers. I do not need to throw any Hail Marys at this point. I will say I do feel pretty vulnerable. I do have Logan Sargent on cooldown this week, and he's really been kind of the catalyst to my run of success lately. So I'm going to miss him for sure. But yeah, just playing defense this week on my side. But yeah, if you really need to make up positions, don't be afraid to cut your losses on certain drivers. The penalty release fee really doesn't matter for the last race. Yeah, throw Hail Marys, take drivers no one else is going to take, and just hope for the best because maybe you got nothing to lose.
And while we're on the topic, given you are the unofficial president of the Logan Sargent fan club, I know that you had strong preference for Logan in the American races, both North and South and Central. How are you anticipating his performance at Abu Dhabi?
I'm a little worried about him going back out of his home hemisphere. I think last time he raced outside over there, he nearly died in the car, which is a little concerning. So, I mean, I guess he can only really go. Well, that's not true, but he'll probably be better. I'm hoping he'll be better. I'll be rooting for him. I'll be wearing all my gear.
You mean better than Bahrain? Is that what you're saying?
Which race did he die at?
Qatar.
Yeah, I think
Qatar.
Yeah, you're thinking
Qatar.
Yeah,
he nearly
Qatar,
died.
Sorry,
so,
yeah.
Yes, he nearly died. It was yeah. So I think he'll do better. Hopefully, he won't die this time, and he'll finish the race. But yeah, I unfortunately can't use him this week. He's worth a Hail Mary if you do need to make up places. I feel like not that many people are going to use him, and he's shown some promise in some of these recent races. We'll see if it translates.
I would agree. The last couple of races, I think, if he gets a contract re-signed for next year, maybe he already has, and I just haven't heard about it, but I think it'll certainly be because of his last few performances this season. William, what do you think going into the last race of the season? What are you thinking about? What should our users be thinking about? Maybe some that Ryan and I haven't been mentioning.
Yeah, so this is basically like you're playing a daily fantasy contest. It's like you get this amount of budget, and here are your driver choices, here are your constructor choices. One race, set your best lineup. I am still thinking about bang for my buck because I am trying to find the 5 best drivers, the best constructor given my budget. And so, like, you can't just take the top 5 drivers and take them all, right? Like, you've got to see who might outperform their number or not. I would say that there is a little bit of merit to maybe having 5 different teams represented because teammate points are a thing in our game. So you'd have 5 chances to score points for beating your teammate, whereas if you had, say, both Ferrari drivers, only one of them's giving you teammate points.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's that. And then if you see anybody on the upswing, remember that improvement points are still a thing. Like if you think Aston Martin's found some pace that they didn't have the last few races, for example, or if you think Haas is going to pull a miracle of some kind and hold themselves out of last place.
I like it. Mike, do we have you back yet? Stroll, talent driver. He's going for it. I like that move. All right, Mike, you might try and leave and come back too. I don't know if that might help. We'll see. But we're going to move on to the last question, which is if our strategy is to kind of think outside the box and create separation between some of the other members of our league going into the last race of the season, who do you guys think might be an unlikely driver to bet on for kind of a last race Hail Mary? Mike, do we have you?
Maybe. Is this working?
You do. We got you back.
I didn't know if leaving would break the recording. Sorry about that. I would have did it sooner.
No. We got you back. Is there anything you want to add before we move on?
Talking about Hail Marys, I got to give credit where credit is due. Kelsey, our wonderful customer support representative, who many of you have the pleasure of speaking with on the players' side, won our league because she played Lance Stroll talent driver. Like, and
for the week, she won it for the week. She
won it for the week, yeah,
not for the season.
And if you rewatch his onboard, it wasn't just luck; he was bombing it, right? So I'm putting a little. I think there was a genius in that move that was underappreciated, and she got a lot of points going that way. So sometimes those Hail Marys work out.
I agree. So we are talking about kind of unlikely drivers for the last race of the season, maybe a Hail Mary to throw out if you're trying to create a little bit of a separation. So I'm going to, I'm going to say my pick here was actually Lance Stroll, and only because Ryan dislikes him so much. No, it's because if you look at, Aston, I don't know what happened, prior to kind of the more recent comeback. It was like they had this string of 3 or 4 bad results, but it kind of all of a sudden seems like maybe they're back, or I don't know what's going on. But I think if I'm taking a flyer, he's still priced. Where is he at? He's ranked 12th at 15 million, so he's still way half, or he's about halfway down the field. I think if there was somebody I was going to take a bet on, and he's also, to Mike's point, in his notepad writing, still talent driver eligible. So if he has a good race and he finishes top 8, 6 to 8, he is going to definitely receive a healthy amount of points and upside. So that's my standout pick. I have him on my team, and he will most likely be my talent driver as well. So that's what I'm going with. William, what about you?
I would agree that Stroll probably has one of the higher ceilings. I think probably the highest ceiling among talent drivers would probably be Piastri, who is just under that $18 million threshold. So could play him as talent driver this week if you'd like. The nice thing is, you've got him, Ocon, Stroll, and Albon, all pretty solid choices for talent driver. So there's a decent chance that you don't end up just mirroring whoever you're trying to chase down in your league, just because there's that 1 in 4 chance. And so I like Piastri if we're talking about talent drivers where we're sort of taking a swing at it. I know it's the slightly chalkier choice. If I want somebody less chalky, probably Albon. We have seen flashes of brilliance from the Williams.
Definitely less chalky choice. I'm looking in one of the biggest leagues on GridRival, which is P1 Matt and Tommy League. It's about 16,000 players. Current league adoption for Piastri is 40%, which is I think the highest in the league. Well, sorry, Max is about 40, Lando's right at 40, and then you have Piastri at 40. So he is one of the highest. So I think that is a tough choice because he is right at he is 17.9. He's the closest to the talent driver threshold you can get. So he's most certainly the most safe play in terms of talent or in terms of most possible points.
Yeah, he can get you a podium. I don't think any of those other choices can get you a podium unless something really weird happens.
Yeah, now Albon is Albon's about 27% adoption, and my boy Lance Stroll only 5%. So again, if you're thinking about trying to create some differentiation, he has the potential to make a bit of a difference. Ryan, what are you thinking?
Well, like I said earlier, I don't really have any upward mobility at this point. I'm playing defense, so I will be using Oscar Piastri. I would recommend anyone else in my position do the same. And then, if you're trying to make up spots, spin the wheel between Ocon, Albon, or Stroll. Probably Stroll is your best chance at a Hail Mary because I think he'll have the least adoption. And I don't think a lot of people love him that much. So he's probably your choice if you're trying to make up positions.
I like it. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I had my sign when my audio was broken for Stroll talent driver. I think that's the Hail Mary pass to go for. I would have never have said that just a few races ago. But if you look at the other options, if you're kind of, you don't have Stroll in your lineup, you don't have an available slot, but you have Piastri or Ocon, my tip would go Ocon. Piastri's performance over the last few races, whether it was his fault or not, has been on the downtrend, whereas Ocon's has been on the up. There's a little bit more momentum there. The Alpines, which were not supposed to do good in Vegas, did very good. So I think that's a little bit of a safer talent driver selection right now for either if you're playing defense or you're just looking to get as many points as possible with risking the least.
Do we at all consider that Alpine has nothing to play for this week? They're locked into 6th place already. May decide to try some things for the 24 package. I haven't read anything to that effect, just speculating.
Yeah, interesting. I do have them on one of my in one of my leagues as a constructor at the moment. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. We'll see. Closing thoughts, anyone? Any final thoughts or previous thoughts from Michael since he got cut off? Anything we want to tell our users?
I would say if you're, in a position right now where you're very close to the other person, but you end up not winning, you should still be very salty for the entire off season and come back with a vengeance next season. That's right. That would be my biggest pro tip is if you don't close the gap that you need, come back with a vengeance next season.
And on that note, we will be ending, and over the off season, look for a number of exciting updates to make managing your team a little bit more simple next season. We will be having a preseason show to talk about some of the plans we have for next year that are very exciting, and we're happy to continue investing in the product. We hope that everybody has enjoyed the game for the season. We hope that it's made and elevated the excitement of motorsports for each and every one of you that has been able to enjoy it. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.